Hi everybody. Let's do this Q&A video, shall we? You guys sent me so many questions in response to my call for questions video last week, and I thank you to everybody who asked a question. Most of the questions came from the YouTube page, as I expected, but I did get a few from Facebook and from my blog at stevelikestocurse.com, so I'm going to go through those first, and then I'll back up to last week and go through the YouTube questions one at a time. So first question from Facebook is from my friend Kim, who's been commenting on my blog for years, and it's just, Kim's awesome. Hi Kim. She asks, okay, it's been killing me, is that Christy Turlington in that Vogue poster? And she's talking about the Vogue poster that you can see behind me in some shots. It's right there. You can't see it in this camera shot. It's on top of the bookcase there. There it is. That's the picture of the Vogue poster she's talking about. Is that Christy Turlington? No, that is actually a reproduction of a cover of Vogue from I think 1946. It's my wife's, and yeah, it's not Christy Turlington. It's I don't know who the model is, but it's a reproduction of a Vogue cover from 1946, I think, or 47. Dustin Gould asks, do you speak off the cuff or are you reading from a prompter of some kind? I'm not reading from a prompter. It depends. Some of the videos are very specifically scripted. The riffing on mail call videos, the 5 Stupid Things videos, the creationist arguments I'm tired of hearing, and the Whirlpool videos are all scripted. But I'm not reading from a prompter. I have the script, much like I have these questions, I have the script either on the floor or on the couch next to me or in my lap below the camera line. And I'm speaking in memorized bits. Like with the 5 Stupid Things videos, it's actually kind of easy because I can go from one segment to the next and I have a break in between where I'm, where there's the title screen. So I only have to memorize at most maybe a paragraph of material. And then the An Atheist Reads a Case for Christ videos are done from notes. It's a lot like a script. It's like a bullet pointed script that I keep right in front of me on a lectern right in front of me that again is positioned below the frame line, and I'm working from those notes, and sometimes I'm going off the cuff and speaking extemporaneously, and sometimes I'm basically saying exactly what is in the notes word for word. It depends. And then videos like this, or videos, usually the videos where I'm sitting with the black background behind me, those are usually off the cuff. Those are usually, I just have a specific question or a specific topic that I want to talk about, and I just speak extemporaneously, and then I cut it down, usually quite harshly in editing, because I talk way more than anyone should ever be forced to listen. CD Bonto asks, will you have a special vid for Valentine's? How about a 5 Stupid vid about it? Any plans making another Michael Worley vid? Obviously no Valentine's video. At least not this year. I might do 5 Stupid Things about Valentine's Day next year. That is actually a good idea. But not this year, obviously, because I'm shooting this on Valentine's Day, and you are watching it after Valentine's Day. But yeah, I do want to make more Whirlpool videos, the Michael Worley videos. Someone else asks about that a little later, so thanks for allowing me to skip that person's question, CD. I am going to do more of those. I just need to write them, and I'm slightly more ambitious about the next batch of them. So I'm still sort of trying to hold off until I can get my ducks in a row for the next Whirlpool videos. But I love doing those. Those are just a lot of fun. And Michael Voris is such a fascinating character to make fun of because he's such a thug. He's on this internet where you can interact with people from all over the world, and he's just not interested in talking to anybody. He's interested in talking at people and getting his message out, but he is not interested in any counter arguments at all. So for that reason, he's really a lot of fun to mock, and he really deserves to be mocked because he's kind of an idiot. Now, there was one question that someone asked on my blog, stevelikestocurse.com, and that was Corey Donaldson. He's been commenting on my blog for a couple of weeks now, and he asks, if you could go back in time and find a way to stop the Dark Ages from happening, how would you do it? I would stop along the way and pick up Christopher Hitchens and Carl Sagan and Thomas Paine and maybe Charles Darwin, Edwin Hubble, a few scientists, Albert Einstein, and I would let them do most of the heavy lifting. And maybe I would just take my camera along and document it. That's my plan. After time travel is invented and I decide I want to go back and prevent the Dark Ages and irrevocably alter all of human history from that point forward. That's how I will do it. Now the YouTube questions. This one is from Troubleshooter125. He asks, just for more information about my background, he says, how did you get to know so much, particularly regarding your depth analysis of religion and particularly Strobel's BS, talking about my Case for Christ videos. Background interest, what has led you to your interesting avocation, he says. Well, first of all, thank you so much for saying that you consider my analysis deft. My background in terms of my education, I have no serious philosophical training or theological training to speak of at all. I took some philosophy classes in college. I took some sociology in college. But my training is as a writer. My degree is in English with a creative writing concentration. But I've always been interested in science since I was a little kid. And I've read a lot of popular science, and my college career included as many science classes as I could fit in with the other stuff that I actually had to take to get my English degree. So I've been interested in science my whole life, and just interested in knowing things and knowing whether or not things that I think or that I believe are true. And I think it's that curiosity and that desire to know and to have confirmation whenever it's possible. That's where I get the interest in the religious question. Next, this one is from HNBBS, that's Jim Howard. My question is, how can I keep from hating you now, because you have 1,000 subscribers and I only have 750. I actually have 1,100 subscribers now, Jim. You can probably keep from hating me by consoling yourself with the fact that you invented the blog. Depending on how you define blog, he did. Jim Howard, who watches my videos, who subscribes to my channel, invented the blog. The next is from PT John Doe, and his questions are all tied to my call for questions video that I posted previous to this. He asks, you are a Democrat. Well, I'm not a member of the Democratic Party. I'm registered unaffiliated. I am a Democrat with a lowercase d. I'm also a Republican with a lowercase r. I tend to vote Democrat. What poisoning? There was a joke in the call for questions video where I talked about how most of my diet is raw potatoes, and I've been hospitalized several times for solanine poisoning. Solanine is a poison that is present in raw potatoes. You only have to really worry about it if you're eating green potatoes, which I don't eat green potatoes. I don't eat raw potatoes either. That was a joke. Have you really tried to kill yourself in the past? What was the situation? That's another thing that was in the video. I did the cut-in where I was naked on the edge of the bathtub putting a gun in my mouth. That was a joke. I've never been suicidal. I've never attempted suicide. It was a very dark joke made in very poor taste, which to me are always the best ones to make. And it wasn't even a real gun. It was a rubber gun. Bossman103, my debate adversary from last year. We exchanged videos about the Jesus myth hypothesis. Bossman says, congrats on 1,000. Thank you, Bossman103. What are your favorite books? What food do you like at your local restaurants? And what is a malt milkshake, as we don't have them in the UK? My favorite books, my favorite books are, I love Carl Sagan. I love, my favorite Carl Sagan book is The Demon Haunted World. And of course I also love Cosmos, and I love Pale Blue Dot and Billions and Billions. I just love everything Carl Sagan ever wrote. And I love Thomas Paine. I love The Age of Reason. If you haven't read The Age of Reason, go read The Age of Reason right now. You can either get a nice copy of it at a bookstore, or you can read it for free online, because I mean it was written 200 years ago, so it's public domain. And even though it was written 200 years ago, it's still by far the best and the most cogent takedown of the Bible and Christianity that I've ever read. It's awesome. Read The Age of Reason by Thomas Paine if you have not read it. And I really like Voltaire too. As far as fiction, I love J.D. Salinger. I think my favorite fiction book is probably a book by Salinger called Seymour, an Introduction. It's like a novella, and I think it's usually published alongside another novella of Salinger's called Raise High the Roof Beam Carpenters. I love The Catcher in the Rye. I love 9 Stories and Franny and Zooey. I also really like The Great Gatsby. I think The Great Gatsby is one of the most beautifully written books in terms of its language. I love The Odyssey. What food do you like at your local restaurants? I have the palate of a hog, really. I love the Waffle House. I love the Waffle House. I would eat at the Waffle House every day. The Waffle House, and if you don't have the Waffle House in the UK, which I guess you don't, it's like a diner. It's like a chain of diners, and I mean, I like the chili, I like the burgers, I like the hash browns, smothered, covered, and capped, for me. And it's all really shitty food. It's not really like great food, but there's something about it that I just really like and find really comforting. I like fish too, which you can't really get at the Waffle House. But I like fish. Especially salmon. I love salmon. And what is a malt milkshake? A malt milkshake is a milkshake flavored with malt extract, as far as I know. Will you be going to the Reason Rally in March so I can shake your hand? Oh, and what's your favorite Modest Mouse song, and who's your favorite blues player? That's from Glies 581F. Yes, I will be going to the Reason Rally. And if we run into each other, Glies 581F, I would love to shake your hand. I really appreciate your comments that you leave on these videos of mine and that you take the time to watch them. And yeah, I would definitely love to shake your hand at the Reason Rally. What's my favorite Modest Mouse song? That's tough because they're like my favorite band. Probably Trailer Trash from the Lonesome Crowded West, although I also love Cowboy Dan, and I love The Stars Are Projectors from The Moon in Antarctica, and I love We Missed the Boat from We Were Dead Before the Ship Even Sank. I mean, I could just talk about Modest Mouse for the whole video. I love Modest Mouse, but if you make me pick a favorite song of theirs, I guess I would go with Trailer Trash. And who's your favorite blues player? It's hard for me not to pick Robert Johnson. But there, again, just like with Modest Mouse, that's something I could go on forever. Robert Johnson obviously is an obvious choice. I love Cephas and Wiggins. I love Muddy Waters. I love Howlin' Wolf. I love John Lee Hooker. And John Lee Hooker Jr. is actually pretty good too. Skip James. Again, on and on and on and on and on. Favorite video games from Scabbardy Dude. I'm not really into video games at the moment. I had a brief interval in my early to mid 20s where I owned a PlayStation 2, and most of the games I was into at the time were either baseball games or wrestling games, or like Resident Evil. I really like the Resident Evil games. But the thing that keeps me from getting really into video games and really having like passionate favorites is that I just suck at most of them. It's me, the Sarah J asks, what have been your best and worst experiences with people after they found out you were an atheist? It's impossible to choose a best experience, because the good experiences that have happened since I started telling people I was an atheist and talking about my atheism, especially on YouTube, there have been too many good experiences to even count, and many of those have been with theists. There have been so many positive experiences with both my fellow atheists and with theists who have been willing to indulge me and have conversations about these things, because it's my favorite conversation to have. I've never gotten tired of it. I'm always willing to talk about it. Worst experiences, actually, that's kind of tough. In my personal life, I really haven't had any negative experiences as a result of coming out as an atheist. The only thing I can really tell you in terms of worst experiences is there have been exchanges I've had online, but with people that I know in real life, where I was arguing with them about something not related to religion, and I am an atheist and this person is a Christian, and it was assumed that I had a problem with them or I was picking a fight because of their faith. And I don't encounter that assumption very often, but when I do encounter that assumption, well, the only reason you have a problem with so-and-so is because, you know, they're a Christian and you're an atheist, that really gets old, because it's never true in my case. I don't pick fights with people. First of all, I don't pick fights with people. And second of all, I don't pick on people because they're Christians or because of their faith. That's just not something I'm trying to do. But that's, I guess, and that's not a common experience for me. The experience of coming out as an atheist, for me, has been overwhelmingly positive, and I really feel bad for people who have not had positive experiences, or who have had negative experiences to go along with their positive experiences. That sucks, but that, fortunately for me, has not been my experience. My experience has been very, very overwhelmingly positive. Yes, I am James asks, Do you know the slang term for a pint of Stella in England? Stella Artois, my beer of choice. I didn't know it when you asked, but I have since been informed by Sareti Yuki and a few other people that I know from the UK. Apparently it's wife beater. Yes, I am James also asks, what started you on the road to making YouTube videos? Actually, my first video, which is not up on this channel at this point. I might redo it or put it up just for nostalgia's sake. My first YouTube video was actually a response to the 5 questions for atheists video that Veritas48 put up. That was when that was my first YouTube video. And after that, I really liked it. I was already writing a blog, and I just figured instead of expressing myself purely just through the writing as a writer, I would write and then speak directly to the camera. So I got a camera and I started doing it that way, and then I got a better camera and lights and started doing it this way, and it's been just insanely fun. Yes, I am James also asks, which 2 YouTubers would you like to see go head to head in a fight to the death? And you do have to choose. Ray William Johnson and Onision. MJL Guard asks, what are some of your favorite stories from your Insomniac with Dave Attell TV show? Do I really look like Dave Attell? I think Dave Attell is funny, so if you were conflating me with Dave Attell, I consider that a compliment, because I do think Dave Attell is funny, and I used to watch Insomniac, and I thought it was great. Zents29 asks, why Steve likes to curse? You almost never curse. Steve likes to curse comes from what I consider to be the most flattering compliment that I've ever received in my life, and it was from one of my oldest friends, Dave Hose, said of me many years ago. He said, the thing about Steve is he's capable of articulately expressing what's on his mind while also cursing like a drunken sailor. And I thought that was just the most wonderful thing anyone could ever say about me, and I took it as a great compliment. And when I started my blog almost 6 years ago, I had to think of something to call it. And the first thing that came to mind that I thought sounded good, that I thought would be worth using, was the phrase Steve likes to curse. So I called my blog Steve Likes to Curse. And then when I started my YouTube channel, I called that Steve Likes to Curse too. The other question from Zents29 is, if you're an atheist, who do you think created you? And you can't say your parents. Well, since I can't say my parents, I will say I was created by the same thing that created everything else in the universe. The laws of physics and the laws of chemistry causing matter and energy to interact with each other over the course of the last 12 billion odd years. That's what created me. Cyborg Collective asks, I know you make films, so what kind of camera do you use and what program do you edit with? I do make films. I'm a writer with an independent film company based here in Washington County, based in Hagerstown, Maryland, called Neon Reel Entertainment. And if you guys are interested in that, we have a YouTube channel. It's just Neon Reel. We have a website, neonreel.com. You can find us on Facebook, Neon Reel Entertainment. Right now we're making mostly short films. We're actually ramping up production for our next one. We're going to start shooting it in April, I think, as is the current plan. And we don't actually use the camera. The camera that I'm using right now to record this is not the camera we use, but it's a similar camera to mine. And we have other equipment to augment that camera to make it look a little better than it actually is. We have a depth of field adapter and some really nice lenses and a Steadicam rig and just other things that allow us to make movies that look like movies and not look like home videos. But yeah, neonreel.com, Neon Reel Entertainment on Facebook if you're interested in more stuff about the movie making, because that is a big part of what I do, and it's again a lot of fun, and hopefully will be able to turn into a career at some point. Cyborg Collective also asks, I'm guessing you like cartoons, so which ones are your favorites? And he's basing out on the 5 Stupid Things About He-Man video I did recently. My favorite cartoon as a child growing up was He-Man, and I also liked Transformers, and I was a Rodimus Prime guy when it came to Transformers. Nothing against Optimus, I love Optimus, but Rodimus Prime never got his due, never got a fair shake. And of course in the early 90s Batman the Animated Series started, and I loved that at the time. I've actually gone through some cycles with Batman the Animated Series. When it first came on I loved it, and then when I got into a little bit later into my teen years, into high school, I started to sort of resent it because I looked at it as like a kiddie cartoon, like a kiddie version, a kiddie safe version of Batman. And then as I've grown a little older and watched it over again a few more times, I've sort of come back around to coming to peace with it. I mean, I still think it's a kiddie cartoon, but I've sort of come to peace with that and accepted it as a kiddie cartoon version of Batman, but something that still offers some enjoyment for me. Plus, I'm a Batman fan, and it's hard not to watch that show if you're a big fan of Batman. Jay's Logic asks, have you ever received a threat against your well-being for your openly critical position against religion? I've never had a threat against me that I've taken seriously. The threats I usually get are threats from people saying I'm going to go to hell if I don't shape up. I've never been actually physically threatened because of my atheism. Rain-soaked puppy. Have you ever given any thought to playing on the other side of the fence with a 5 smart things segment? Yeah, and a few other people have asked that question at various times, like the opposite of 5 stupid things. You know, I guess 5 brilliant things would be a title I would consider. Yeah, I have. If I ever do that, it would probably be an occasional thing as opposed to like a regular series that comes on every week or every 2 weeks. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably do something like that at some point. I understand that like the 5 stupid things could be construed as being very negative. I do want to celebrate things that I think are worth celebrating. But with a lot of the 5 stupid things, especially the specials, the ones that I put up on Wednesday, even though I'm talking about things that I think are stupid, like with the He-Man video, I'm talking about silly things, but that I do actually have a lot of affection for. I try to make sure that the 5 stupid things videos are not overwhelmingly negative, and I try to do it in an entertaining and a funny way, so it's not like I hope people don't get feel like down or depressed after they watch one of those, because that's not the intention at all. They're not just supposed to be bitch videos. They're supposed to be entertaining, and so, but yeah, 5 brilliant things, 5 smart things, that's a possibility. The Felt Begone, technically my first subscriber on this channel, and also gave me one of my first shout outs. When I subscribed to his channel, I was actually the first subscriber to his channel, and he made a really funny video about me being the first subscriber to his channel. The Felt Begone asks a couple of questions. Aren't you in fact just channeling your cat? No, I wouldn't call it channeling. It's the cat is actually operating me from a digital control board. I'm actually a very sophisticated computer-controlled marionette. Well, really, aren't you just the cat's human spokesperson? Are you part of the greater feline conspiracy to turn the earth into one vast catnip farm? Is 1,000 minions enough for the cat to set its evil plan in motion? I don't know about that. I know that the cat loves catnip. In fact, she's right here. She's been laying here the whole time. I know. There she is. Why don't you ask her about the conspiracy? See if she wants to turn the world into a catnip farm. That's her. Her name's Audie. She's my kitty. Yes. Yes, I know. Get out. The Felt Begone also asks, Betty or Wilma? I'm going to say Betty. I think she wants it more. I don't think Barney's taking care of that shit. And then, which is more dangerous to our government, money or religion? I'm going to have to say money. Claudia Quat, what do you use to keep your beard trimmed? A beard trimmer. T. Topper, is that the Bible you were reading while claiming to only eat potatoes? Again, this referencing the call for questions video, the scene where I'm eating the raw potatoes. That was actually the Quran, not the Bible. Talladega Tom, who is or was your favorite atheist? Christopher Hitchens. Carl Sagan, probably a close second, and I only put Sagan second to Hitchens because his writing was not as much about atheism as Hitchens was. In terms of people who are still alive, I mean, obviously Richard Dawkins is great. Sam Harris, Dan Barker I really like. The Thinking Atheist, I love The Thinking Atheist. Talladega Tom also asks, do you have an opinion on why the religious here on YouTube have refused discussion by censoring, blocking, and controlling their comments to only show their narrow point of view? Well, first of all, not all of them do that. The ones that I have interaction with don't do that. But as for why do the ones that do that, like the aforementioned Michael Voris, because they lack confidence in their own opinions, I think. Why else would you want to close off discussion? Why else are you not willing to discuss the opinions and the statements that you are making an effort to share with people if you don't have the confidence to back them up? That's what I think. Falco64125 asks, if one of the world's too many religions ever happened to find actual evidence that supported the truthiness of their religion, which would you prefer to be proven true? Probably something like Buddhism or Wicca, one of the ones that hasn't started very many wars. And one of the ones that doesn't make personal demands on me, and it doesn't include a God that commands me to love him, thus showing that he has no understanding of what love is. Bob Smearfack, who made the best shout-out video for me ever. I watched that twice and it just made me laugh the whole time. Just fucking do it. I love that. By the way, sent me a lot of subscribers too, so thanks Bob for that shout-out. What's the secret to being so prolific and regular? I mean about making videos. How are you able to create so much good content? Well, thank you. I'm glad you think the content is good. It's just a lot of writing. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And I work from home, so I have time to do it. So that's a big part of it. And it's just sitting down and doing it. I mean, the ones like the most of the videos I do, like the riffing on mail call ones and the 5 stupid things, and lately now also the Case for Christ videos, it's a lot of writing. And you just have to fucking sit down and just do the writing. And once the writing is done, that's almost the hardest part. The sitting in front of the camera and talking, compared to the writing, is actually kind of easy. So yeah, just for me, it's just taking the time and doing the writing. And then the other ones, the off-the-cuff ones, it's just noticing things that I want to talk about and deciding whether or not what I have to say is worth sharing with other people. Time and commitment, Bob. Time and commitment, that's the secret. Mike's Navy asks, what made you decide to expose yourself to the internet in this way? Just had shit to say, I guess. Thought I could contribute to the conversation. 2020 PFW, dude, what's with the hat? I just like the hat. I really like the hat. And it's a Hagerstown Suns hat for local solidarity. That's our local baseball team for the time being, until they move to Winchester. Bear5177, what is your profession? I write web content. That's not a profession, that's a job, I guess. But what is your post-secondary educational background? I think I've already covered that. Is there a subject or trade or field that you would like to study? If I were smart enough, like real smart, not fake smart like an English major. English majors can fake smart. You know, we can put on and sound really smart without actually being that smart. But if I were really smart, I would like to be like a scientist, I would like an astronomer probably, but you have to be really for real smart. You can't fake it. If you had the opportunity to meet a great leader in history, who would that be? And what would you ask him or her? Maybe Abraham Lincoln, and I'd ask him if he was gay, or if he was an atheist. By the way, and I don't think he actually was either of those things. I don't really subscribe to those beliefs. But you know, Lincoln would be a good one. Thomas Paine, obviously, I'd love to talk religion and God, deism, atheism, whatever with Thomas Paine. Voltaire. Maybe I would meet Hitler, and I would like meet Hitler on the pretense of asking him this really important question, and then I'd just like stab him in the neck. That could be good too. What is your favorite coffee? I drink 8 o'clock coffee, and the last couple of months I've been drinking 8 o'clock Colombian. It's been pretty good. I like dark coffee. The Great Old Ones asks, what are some things you do that your wife finds horrifyingly embarrassing? Making YouTube videos. Klingshore, will your wife ever come on camera, or will she stay hidden in the shadows, occasionally sniggering at you? I've actually tried to get her to come on camera many times. I've suggested ideas for videos that I thought would be good for us to do together, and she's just not having it. You can hear her voice. I did a video in a Batman costume, and it's just called Drunk Batman, and the person holding the character behind the camera and the voice you hear other than Batman is my wife. It's not her actual voice. She's doing a character voice, but that's her. That's probably the closest you're going to get to her for a while anyway. Tanya VS1. Do you have any more pets, I guess, other than the cat? No, actually, and there's not even anything in the fish tank. I think I'll get to that question in a few more questions. Someone asked, what's in the fish tank? Nothing's in the fish tank. I used to have fish and they all died and it was depressing, so I decided not to have fish anymore, but there's just the fish tank, and I keep the fish tank up, and it's just a nice, bright, pretty thing in the living room, but nothing lives in it. Tanya VS1 also asks, do you believe in any conspiracies? Fluoride controls people, drug companies inventing illnesses, Bigfoot, no moon landing, etc. No, I don't. And actually, the conspiracy theories that I do know something about and that I'm educated enough on to talk about. That's another thing I really enjoy talking about. I love refuting and debunking conspiracy theories. The one about the moon landing is especially irksome because, I mean, I've been a space nut since I was a little kid. I love astronomy, I love space travel, I love NASA, and I mean, to me, arguing that the moon landings never happened is like arguing that the landing at Omaha Beach on D-Day never happened. You know what I mean? Like those astronauts that landed on the moon were heroes. They did incredibly brave, courageous things that ennobled the entire human race. And to say on the basis of nothing that that didn't happen, that just really pisses me off. Mr. Brian Creason. He says, I am wanting to jump on the whole creating videos with an atheistic swing to them thing, and I was wondering if you had any tips of where to start, how you got started, anything of that matter. It'd be appreciated, especially from someone as intelligent as you. Oh, thanks, Brian. The most important tip, I think, is just make sure you have something to say and make sure that what you are saying or how you are saying it is something that people can't get somewhere else. A lot of the compliments that I get on my stuff are from people saying that my tone is different, I'm calmer, I'm more rational, I'm more relatable, I'm not like yelling at the camera, I'm not constantly trying to pwn people. I guess that's what makes me unique. If you have a point of view, if you notice things about, there's the cat right there, look, there she is. If you notice things about Christianity or other religions or atheism that you aren't hearing other people talk about, that you feel you can contribute to the conversation, that's really important. You don't just want to parrot what other people are saying. You don't just want to reiterate what other people have already said. You want to be able to bring something of yourself to it. And you should talk about things that are really important to you and that you really care about and you really have thought about and have a strong opinion on. That to me is the best advice I can give you. Oh yeah, one more question. How many babies have you eaten? I've eaten so many I've lost count. I haven't eaten any babies, but I have used them to paint rooms before. And you know how many babies it takes to paint an entire room? Just one, if you throw it hard enough. J.N. Hager says, your videos are always so goddamn professional looking. Can you show or tell us the gear you use to produce your videos? Sure. My camera is a Canon Vixia HFS HD camera. I record at 1080p, 30 frames a second, and then I edit on a program called AVS, and usually export and upload at 720p. And then for the green screen videos that I do, or like for the 5 Stupid Things where I'm in front of a background that's been composited in with a green screen, I do the keying on another program because AVS is terrible for green screen keying. And I use Adobe Premiere Elements for that. The camera is very important, the editor is very important, but in terms of like making it look professional or quasi-professional, lighting is very important. And for the 5 Stupid Things videos where I'm using a green screen, I use 3-point lighting. I have a light behind me shining down on me from the back, and then I have 2 lights in front of me on either side to illuminate me and also to illuminate the green screen. For videos like this, where I'm just using the background that's actually there, I use 2-point lighting. I have a backlight and then 1 light in front of me. And of course, for the riffing on mail call videos, I'm just sitting on a couch, so I only use 1 light. I don't have room for a light behind me. I just have a light in front of me. And the lighting is very important to make your video look really good. And the backlight especially is really important because having a good backlight sets you apart from your background. I have a backlight on me that you can't see that's up above me, and then I have a light over here on camera right that you can sort of see reflected in the Van Gogh painting back there. And that lights me from the front, and the backlight lights me from the back. And what the backlight does, here, let me show you. I'll turn the front light off, okay? We're just looking at the backlight, and see how the backlight illuminates my shoulders and the top of my hat and the brim of my hat, and it sets me apart from the background. It sort of creates an outline around me. So when I turn the front light on, that outline is still there. It's not as noticeable, but it's there and it sets me apart from the background. Also, whatever camera you're using, if you have a camera that allows you to make manual adjustments to its settings, you want to set your exposure setting manually, so it's not constantly adjusting if there are changes in the light level, or if you get closer or further from the lens. Autofocus is fine if you're doing something like this where you're just sitting here, but if you're going to be entering the frame or exiting the frame and you want to maintain a constant focus, you should use manual focus. Just things like that you'll probably figure out if you want to do something like this through your own experience. J9DZ2SF, do you think the Riemann hypothesis is true? The Riemann hypothesis is a mathematical hypothesis. It has something to do with number theory and the distribution of prime numbers. I am completely unqualified to pronounce an opinion on the Riemann hypothesis. As I said earlier, in answering one of the other questions, I'm not really real smart. I'm English major smart. I'm not like math smart or science smart. That's real smart. That's smart you can't fake. This is mostly just faked. I have no idea whether the Riemann hypothesis is true or not, but that's such a great question. Finder 100, so what kind of fish do you have? I have no fish at the moment. The fish that I did have before they died, I had an orange fantail named Mr. Belvedere that was really cool. Precambrian Lullaby, another buddy of mine who's a long-time subscriber. He asks, what are your top 5 favorite movies and top 3 favorite songs? Top 5 favorite movies differs from time to time in terms of the order. I mean, the top 5 is always pretty much the same and has been probably for the last 10 or 15 years. Right now, from 1 to 5, I would say Sherlock Jr., the great Buster Keaton film, 2001: A Space Odyssey, City Lights, great Charlie Chaplin film, Ikiru, the great Akira Kurosawa film starring Takashi Shimura, and All Quiet on the Western Front, the original All Quiet on the Western Front, directed by Louis Milestone. Top 3 favorite songs, Jesus. I will say La La by the Verve Pipe, Going to the River by Cephas and Wiggins, and The Promised Land by Bruce Springsteen. But ask me tomorrow and I can give you 3 completely different answers. Precambrian Lullaby also says, I noticed you have Cafe Terrace in your living room. Have you ever seen a real Van Gogh? Yeah, Cafe Terrace is right there. No, I have never seen a real Van Gogh. Or if I have, it was so long ago that I don't remember. I mean, I have been to a few like real art museums in my life, but it was when I was really young. It hasn't been for a while, so I may have been in the presence of a real Van Gogh, but it didn't leave an impression on me. And last, what are your top 5 favorite moments in history? All of it before 1940. Okay. The Big Bang, that's an important one. The formation of the solar system, that's a big one, I think. The origin of life on Earth, that's 3, right? The killing of Stonewall Jackson in the American Civil War, because that guy was an asshole. And the Wright brothers' first airplane flight. Those are my 5 favorite historical events prior to 1940. Spy Guy 767, where in Maryland do you live? I live in Sharpsburg, in Washington County, which is in western Maryland, the site of the Battle of Antietam during the American Civil War. Media Drone 01, fast as you can, will you run through a bio? Grew up, church, went to high school, college, job, lady friend, cat name, hobbies other than comic books and music, why you have a cat instead of a dog, you know those things piss in a box in your house, right? Okay, yeah, cats do piss in a box in your house, and they shit in the box too, which, you know, but they're better than babies. Babies shit their pants. Cats don't shit their pants. Cats shit in the box that you give them, and you say, hey, shit in this box, okay? And the cat says, okay, shit in the box. You got a deal. I've lived my whole life in western Maryland, right here in Washington County. I grew up in a little town called Clear Spring, which is even smaller than Sharpsburg, where I'm at now. I went to high school there, went to all of my primary education there, then lived for a few years in Hagerstown, worked at a truck stop for 5 years, worked maintenance at a truck stop for 5 years, went to college, non-traditional student, I guess. I decided rather late that I wanted to go to college, and I went to the Hagerstown Community College, then I transferred for the last 2 years to Shepherd College, or Shepherd University, which is in West Virginia, which is right near where I live now. My cat's name is Audie. Hobbies other than comic books, writing, doing this. I mean, I guess I would still consider this a hobby. I'm not getting paid for it yet. Music, I love the blues. I love fucking old-fashioned rock and roll. I love the Rolling Stones. I love the Beatles. I love Bruce Springsteen. I love more recent stuff. I love Modest Mouse. I love Built to Spill. I really like the Black Keys, the White Stripes. I love Johnny Cash. I love Willie Nelson. I love Hank Williams. I like Hank Williams Jr. I don't love Hank Williams Jr. I like Hank Williams the third too, and Robbie Fulks. As far as country music goes, the blues musicians I named previously when I was answering Glee S581F's question. Why a cat instead of a dog? I had a dog when I was younger, when I lived at home with my parents, and her name was Star, and I loved her very much. And I guess I just haven't gotten another one for a variety of reasons. I've lived in apartments since I left home, and I don't think it would. Even if I lived in a place that permitted pets, I wouldn't want to have a dog in an apartment. I think it's better if you have a dog that they have room to go outside and run. And living in a town where there's cars always going by, I wouldn't want to let the dog run around outside. That's why I don't let the cat outside. But yeah, that's why I have a cat instead of a dog. And plus, I didn't plan on getting the cat. The cat sort of got us. We took her in off the street. There are a lot of stray cats here in Sharpsburg, and one night, about 5 years ago, she just walked up to us while my wife and I were sitting outside, and we hit it off with her. She seemed really nice and charming, and we let her in, and she's been with us pretty much ever since. That's why I have a cat instead of a dog. Orthodox Atheist, what does your wife think about your channel? She's ambivalent. She doesn't outright firmly disapprove of it, but I suspect she would rather I didn't do the YouTube thing. But when I told her I had hit 1,000 subscribers, she was very happy and very supportive and gave me a hug, and it was really nice. So she's not anti the YouTube channel, but she's not gung-ho about it either. Is she an outspoken atheist? No, she is an atheist, but she doesn't like to label herself an atheist, and she's not nearly as interested in the conversation as I am. She doesn't really care about talking about her atheism or talking about religion like I do. How long have we been married? We've been married since October of 2010. But we've been together for about 7 years altogether. Does she watch your videos? Very rarely. She watched the one I did with Soretta Yuki and thought it was funny and thought Yuki was good looking, which he is. He's a good looking dude, you gotta say. Yuki's a good looking dude. Does she critique them or provide input or advice either pre or post production? She does. Usually it's that I talk too much, and she's usually right. Kanetta's Rifle. Sir, are there any plans to do more Steve Watches wrestling videos? Probably not, just because of copyright concerns. The Steve Watches wrestling videos were ones I did where I would do voiceovers over a wrestling match, and usually it was, a WWF match or a WCW match, something that somebody owns the copyright to, and I don't want to get in trouble and lose my YouTube channel. So I probably won't be doing any more of those for the foreseeable future, but I would like to do some kind of wrestling related videos at some point, because I love pro wrestling, I love talking about it, and I would like to do more wrestling type stuff. It's nice to have an excuse to talk about wrestling. My friend Bill Gregory, who is in the business, who is a wrestling referee for a lot of indie promotions around this area, we've talked off and on for the last couple of months about doing a wrestling video series, and I would like to do something like that, but probably not Steve Watches Wrestling. Born Without Religion asks, how is it that you have such well-shot, well-edited, and well-written videos and only 1,000 subs? I'm still baffled by this. Well, now I have 1,100 subs, so I think that has been slightly corrected, and thank you for saying that. Babarmi, fucking magnets, how do they work? Electromagnetism. Are you now or have you ever been a fan of Pokemon? On the same note, what are your views on anime in general? And that one is from Shadow Naruto 33. I'm not a fan of Pokemon, I never have been. The relatively small amount of anime that I have watched, some of it I've really liked. I remember watching, I think I saw Cowboy Bebop first about 10 years ago, and I thought it was just genius. I thought it was one of the greatest animated things I'd ever seen. I'm probably more familiar with anime movies than with TV series. I really loved Grave of the Fireflies. It's one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. I really loved Wings of Oniyamas. That was another favorite. And Princess Mononoke is a great one. Spirited Away. The more popular ones from the last few years I've seen and have really enjoyed. But I guess my favorite would probably be Grave of the Fireflies. That's just a great movie. Wim Sweden asks, have you ever changed the mind of a family member or friend on something important? It doesn't have to be about religion. No, I don't really think so. I don't remember that ever happening. T Topper again, why is it that you cut off the erroneous at 5? Because people don't have all day. and because the 5 Stupid Things videos are actually, they're designed to be shorter than the mail call videos, which usually run about 10 minutes or more. The 5 Stupid Things are, I aim to make them about 5 minutes. Sometimes they run over, but the target is 5 minutes for the 5 Stupid Things video, so that's why I stop at 5. Messianic Rogue asks, do you ever have to answer for riffing on mail call from the locals, or are you still flying under the radar? I guess I'm flying under the radar. I haven't heard a lot of feedback from local people about the mail call videos, but the little that I have received has actually been positive. I think a lot of people agree with me that mail call is an embarrassment. Messianic Rogue also asks, what are your PIN number and bank account details? Do you have a set time you and your family are never at home, and what time would that be? Where do you leave your spare key? How far is the nearest pawnbroker from your house? What is the reaction time of the local police in your neighborhood? What is the resale value of camera and editing equipment? Do you own a gun? Do you have a guard dog? Do you have an alarm? Are your neighbors nosy? I'm going to PM you with that. Alton Newcomb's house. Inside the Actors Studio wants to know, if God did exist, what would you ask it? Where have you been? The Only Ryan. Okay, cool, The Only Ryan. I'm glad we finally met. Do you love The Big Lebowski? If not, what is your favorite cult classic? I do love The Big Lebowski. It's a good movie. I don't think I love it like as much as like the really crazy Lebowski lovers love it, but I think it's hilarious. My favorite cult classic, I don't know, does Roadhouse count as a cult classic? If Roadhouse counts as a cult classic, then I'll say Roadhouse. If Roadhouse doesn't count as a cult classic, maybe Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. J. Clark 416, I feel like someone has or should have already asked about the pen in your shirt. What's with the pen? How'd that start? The pen right there. I almost always have a pen clipped in the collar of my t-shirt. I like to carry a pen just in case I need one. Just a weird sort of quirk about me. I used to carry it in the front pocket of, like, if I'm wearing a button-up shirt with a chest pocket. But I don't always wear shirts like this, so I got into the habit of just putting it in the collar of the t-shirt, because I do almost always wear a t-shirt, even if I do have one of these shirts on over top. So that's where that started. Valiant asks, what is the most convincing argument that the believers have made? I think the most convincing argument against atheism is probably still, after all these years, the argument of first cause. And I don't even think that that's a very good argument, because I don't think that argument, I'm not compelled to assume the existence of God to satisfy that argument. So I don't think it's a really good argument. But I think of all the theist arguments that I've heard, the argument from first cause, why is there something instead of nothing? You know, what caused the universe to exist? If you believe in the Big Bang, what caused the Big Bang to happen? That's the most compelling question, I think, that theists can ask to throw doubt on the naturalistic or the atheistic view of the universe. And again, I don't think it's that great of an argument. It doesn't really move me that much, but of all the arguments that I've heard from that area, that would probably be the one. Also, could you tell us what you thought about Christopher Hitchens? Actually, I did a video all about Christopher Hitchens after he died, and I'll link to it here. You can watch my video. And then we also did a special episode of A News about Christopher Hitchens, and that we'll put that one right there, right here. So watch both of those to find out what I thought about Christopher Hitchens. I loved Christopher Hitchens. I admired him as a person, as an atheist, as a philosopher, as a writer. I thought he was great. Brother Alpha, I was going to ask, why does my penis hurt when I urinate? But I decided that was too immature. You might have a urinary tract infection. So I'm going to go with an old school pop culture reference and ask, have you got a piano? Have you got a piano? No, I don't have a piano. Sorry. Kits and E-Games, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but what happened to your face? More specifically, how did you get that scar next to your right eyelid? I cut my face on a seatbelt when I was about 4 years old. That's where the scar comes from. You can see, yeah, thanks to the miracle of high def video, you can see the scar. It's right there, and yeah, I cut my face right there on a seatbelt when I was 4 years old. I fell out of the car and on a seatbelt. Very bloody. One of my earliest memories, actually. The Notorious Dave 1. What is Scruffy's backstory? Stuffy, actually, is his name. My little dog, Stuffy, who I've done a couple of videos with. Stuffy's backstory in real life is that he's been my stuffed dog since I was probably about 10 or 11 years old. I found him in a junk store. There's an antique store around here called Halfway Antiques that is really just like a junk store. I mean, and every time I go there, it's more and more cluttered and piled up with junk. And when I was about, I guess, 10 or 11 years old, I found Stuffy. He was there, and I got him. I bought him for, I don't know, probably a couple of dollars, and he's been my stuffed animal, my dog, ever since. And in terms of his character, he's very sensible. Stuffy's defining trait is that he's very sensible and very rational. He's the guy that you would go to, like, if you wanted sound, rational advice. You'd go to Stuffy. Another one from the Notorious Dave 1. Which side did you take in the East Coast versus West Coast rap battle of the 1990s? East Coast. Now that you've reached 1,000 subscribers, which products would you consider endorsing? That's another one from Notorious Dave. I would consider endorsing products that I use a lot. So probably like Coke, a good brand of summer sausage maybe. R Riverstone 1 asks, I want a tour of your house. Well, that's not going to happen because it's not very well lit, and I don't want to carry the camera around and have everything look like shit. But you've seen most of it throughout my various videos. I mean, this is the living room. I've done things where there have been scenes in the kitchen. I've done things. I think you might even be able to catch a glimpse of the bedroom if you watch enough of my stuff. And then the laundry room, which also doubles as my computer room. You've seen that. That was in the Stuffy videos. The bathroom you've seen. So you've basically seen most of the place. Anyway, even if I don't give you a tour. R Riverstone also asks, I'm doubting you will be honest with us. Without looking in her closet, what dress size does your wife wear? See, if you know that off the top of your head, you're a really good husband. If not, you're just another wannabe. I have no idea. See, I'm being honest. You didn't know if I would be honest. I'm being honest. I have no idea. I have no idea what dress size my wife wears. I guess that makes me a bad husband, which is sort of news to me because I thought that the abuse and the constant cheating made me a bad husband. Soretta Yuki. Here's a question. You're hilarious. The audio and visual quality of your videos is amazing, and the content is a veritable and heady mixture of smart, thought-provoking, and pants-shittingly funny. Why don't you have hundreds of thousands of subs? The riffing on mail call vids alone are worth that. That's not me saying that. That's Soretta Yuki saying that. Okay? So, I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just saying. These are the questions I received. Okay? That's Soretta Yuki saying I deserve 100,000 subs. So, acetaminophen, the cap, the pen, already explained. And finally, from Stedman93, what's your opinion on The Godfather and Tom Selleck's mustache? Both are awesome. Well, that was it. That took fucking forever. Thanks to everyone who sent questions. The questions were all great. I'm pretty sure I answered everybody's question. If I didn't, it's probably because I don't like you. We'll do this again at some point. I have no idea when, but I would like to do these occasionally because I just think it's a lot of fun. And it's just easy content because the questions pretty much write it for you. So, thank you. Thanks for watching, thanks for asking questions, and see you guys next time.